A playwright, a producer, a writer and an actor. Our guest today has travelled world over proving her mettle. And if this wasn't enough, she's a theatre practitioner, a journalist, a TV anchor and a teacher. She is a firebrand who's coloured the canvas of her life with many a talent. With the legendary actor Devanand Sahab as her uncle and an internationally acclaimed director Shekhar Kapoor as her brother, fame was only a matter of time for her, as artistry and quick wit ran in her veins. We are in a reverie with Sohaila Kapoor today. Hello and welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ruchika.
We hear that you did a tehelka for Femina, and people in those days said that it was not the right attitude for a lifestyle magazine. Was there always an investigative journalist in you who romanced risk?
Yes, I wanted to be an investigative journalist very badly, and I loved doing exposés. In fact, I did a couple for different publications of the Times of India, where I was an internee, and then they absorbed me. But girls were not really encouraged to do investigative reporting, just because it wasn't considered safe for them. So I was discouraged, yes.
Yes. Okay. You have a family tradition of being associated with the film industry, especially since you have your uncle as a living legend and your brother as an internationally acclaimed director. Why did we not see Sohaila Kapoor in a Bollywood avatar?
Because like the investigative reporter, Sohaila the actress was not really acceptable to the family. And not just my family, a lot of young girls who wanted to be actresses or directors were discouraged to join the film industry at in that decade.
Right.
It wasn't a done thing for decent young girls to join the industry, no.
Right. We also saw that in one of the interviews you said that Shekhar, as an elder sibling, he was very possessive and didn't really allow you to venture out so much. And when he had, English and American girlfriends, you were not even allowed to date. So how far and how much did his decisions for you affect your life?
Well, he was one of the people who didn't think I should follow a film career, so that affected me in the sense that I didn't even try. And otherwise, my brother was away. He went away to study in England when he was 19 years old. So I pretty much grew up just with my parents. My elder sibling, the eldest sibling, who's a sister, she was already married. So I was my parents' only child, and it was their decisions that influenced me more than my brothers.
Oh, right. Yeah. And your father was a politician, I hear.
No, my father was one of the top doctors in Delhi.
Doctors.
He was a pediatrician.
Right, yes. right. So, yeah, so you grew up with Bollywood celebrities and, political influences and
Bollywood celebrities, yes, because my mother was very very fond and proud of her brothers. There were three brothers, Devanand, Chetananand and Vijayanand, and every holiday we would spend in Bombay, and I was completely fascinated by the movies. I think this influenced my fascination. We used to go and watch them shoot. Right. And I used to come back in a reverie, completely in a dream world. Right. So I think that has also been a great influence in my choice of career of theatre and direction.
Right.
So to that extent, I guess I was influenced by my family, yes.
Yes. And you are also writing a book on the Anands now.
Yes, it's taken some time, but I hope to complete it sometime in the near future, yes.
I wish you luck for it.
Thank you.
So how was it working for the National Geographic's award-winning documentary, The Great India Witch Hunt? What does the story document, and when did this love for myth, mysticism, mystery start?
Well, I've always been fascinated by mysticism and mystery. I mean, as a child, I used to read mystery novels and short stories. Mysticism has always fascinated me, even as a child. I love magic and mystery. But as far as the documentary made by NGC is concerned, this was not my idea. I was just hired as an actor. Actually, I played myself, and I played an investigative journalist. Someone I've always loved to be, and we were investigating a series of murders in Jharkhand. Women who were branded as witches. And this was a real investigation. It wasn't like today's reality shows where everything is cooked up and pretended to be very real in front of the camera. It's not. Nothing was premeditated. I was just thrown into situations, and we discovered something very alarming, that These women were branded as witches because they were widows, because the family wanted to take away their property and wealth that was left to them by their husbands, and wanted to get rid of them. So the easiest thing in a village is to brand a woman as a witch, and if she refuses to leave the family, and of course to cast her out of the village and community, if she refused to leave it, then she was killed. So this is the discovery that this award-winning documentary made.
Okay, but you also wrote about the witchcraft of India.
I did actually when I was a trainee with the Times of India. Like I told you, mysticism had always fascinated me. I requested one of the editors who was my boss, Daryl De Monte, if I could go and do a series in South India. Because I'd heard that there's a lot of magic and ritual over there, and I'd heard about a temple called the Chotanikara, somewhere close to Ernakulam. And one of my colleagues had a home there, a family home in a beautiful, farm over there. So he said, yes, why don't you do it? And if I find the facts interesting, I'll publish 2 articles, not just 1. We did go there, and in fact, that was another piece of investigative journalism. When we went as a husband and wife team, and I went there pretending to be a stricken woman. That particular temple only, at that time, I don't know about now, it only catered to girls, especially nubile girls who were supposed to have been possessed by the devil. So they treated them in a certain way. So I went there as somebody's wife, not particularly very nubile and young, and that I needed treatment. So we went through, we saw the entire ritual, which is called the Gurudi ritual. My friend who was a photographer photographed it very quietly, surreptitiously, because no photographer was allowed. It was a very secret ritual, which I believe is not secret anymore. And when they found out that he was photographing, they tried to attack us, and we were chased out of the temple, and they tried to grab his camera, but we were too quick, being young and nimble-footed. We ran out, we got the story, and the Times of India splashed it on its special Sunday edition. The first story was witchcraft, the second was on exorcism. And then after that, Orient Longmans, which used to be something like Penguin is today,
yes.
It used to be a major publishing house. They got interested in the story and they asked us to write a book. For reasons of his own, my colleague couldn't complete the book, but he said, I'll provide you the photograph. So I ended up writing it. And it was called Witchcraft in Western India. I was a very young girl when it was published, and we've had 2 editions of it.
Wow. Bravissima. So there is a slumdog effect in the West about the black magic country, India. Is this when you chose to throw light on the dark world of witchcraft?
No, actually the Western concept didn't even bother me. I was just personally interested in mysticism, as I said, and I wanted to get to the bottom of it. So I just wanted to investigate what it was all about in Kerala, and that's how I went about it.
So did it satiate your lust for good story, strong story?
It did, and I just wanted to write another. In fact, Orient Longman made another offer to me, and they said, this is witchcraft. Why don't you write a book on exorcism? And my mother said, you're a young girl, you have to get married. I don't want you found in this, beheaded in some jungle or raped or something like that. So you will not go and meet tantrics. That was my next step. I wanted to go and see a tantric ritual. She said, I will recall you, I will throw a tantrum, I'll hospitalize myself if I have to, but you are not going to write this book. So that was the end of it. Again, another negation, the third in my life. So I was disallowed from doing it.
Right. You anchored South Asian Newsline, a live newscast on South Asia for political developments on the Canadian channels. So how was an Indian counterpart fare to the Canadian experience?
Well, that was many years ago. And Indian television is far more dynamic now, and even their television, I mean the CFMT, which is now called, it used to be called Channel 47, it's Omni now, has developed and progressed by leaps and bounds. It was a news, it was a news feature, and you can't really compare to what things were 10 years ago to what it is now, because television has sort of grown all over the world.
Right. Okay, so Mumbai Meri Jaan, Bombay Dreams, and now The Monkey Man. Did the musicals bring about a melody between the siblings, and how was it like to be on the international scene?
Well, we were together on the stage in Dubai where my play premiered, and it was great, and he spoke good things about me.
Yes.
And that was quite surprising, and I felt very emotional about it. And we were also together at one of the shows here in India Islamic Center. So it felt very good, and like I said, it was like an emotional bonding. I think we both felt it, and I hope we can repeat it, for something else that we do together. Maybe, I mean, I'm writing a musical for him, which might get an international premiere. He's trying for it.
Great. So you worked in an array of theatrical productions like Tattoo, Rumi, and the Mahim Junction. Was there any character or story that resonated as your own?
None of these actually. These are all fictional. But yes, I have done a play which is written and directed by my friend Smita Bharti called 45, 35, 55.
Right.
It sounds like the figure of a woman, but it is really the three ages, three women protagonists in it, of three different generations. There, Smita and I did a lot of brainstorming, and we put in a lot of our own lives. That is the only play which I think resonates with my life. The others are all fictional, because I love telling stories and other people's stories rather than mine.
Right. So on a spiritual note, has
Yeah.
life been about getting or letting go for you? What is the philosophy that drives you?
It's a bit of both. And my philosophy is keep smiling, be active, don't ever let your curiosity die out, even if you're 95 years old and you can think.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for sharing such interesting snippets of your life with us. I'm sure the audience rejoiced as much as I did. And thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. So with a promise to come back with someone you would want to know more about in a reverie, I sign off now. Be good and goodbye.